Hey guys, it's Bethany, your crafty BFF, and today I am on with a tutorial. But before we get started, I wanted to give credit where credit is due. Um, this project is not my original project. I did not design this. I have simply just made it bigger. The original tutorial is done by Kristianne, who is Kristianne's Crafty Adventures here on YouTube and over on Instagram. I so uh let me explain. I was talking with my friend Tamika, who is Tamika Sending Smiles here on YouTube, and she wanted to host a travel themed swap, and she wanted to use this project, but she wanted it to be a little bigger so that it can hold more things. So I told her that I could look at the tutorial and see if I could come up with the measurements to make it bigger, and so that's what I did. I contacted Kristianne and got her permission to do this tutorial, and told her that I would, of course, give her the credit, and then I also wanted to credit her inspiration because in her video she says that she was inspired by an SVG file created by Nicole Silhouette, and then she was inspired by another creator, and her name is Fanny. I will link both of them down in the description box, as well as Kristianne and Kristianne's original video for this the smaller version of this little bag. She calls it, I think, the cute craft bag. But we think, Tamika and I think it looks like a cute little luggage bag, so that's what we're calling it. but so I changed the measurements, and it ends up being 6 inches wide, 4 inches tall, and 3 inches deep. I also changed the way that Kristianne did the front pocket, just because I liked this pocket better. And then I changed the measurements of the side pockets to better match this size container. This part, the straw and the straw cover are the exact same as Kristianne's. The lid, of course, I changed the lid as well, the lid size as well, because it needed to fit this container. I thought I would show you how much you can really fit in here. I have lots of stuff stuffed in here, including a little box, like a little travel box that has a sequins mix in it, and lots of other goodies. Plus, you can put goodies in the little pockets on the sides. They are expandable pockets. And then my pocket here in the front has a sequins mix in it as well. So, let's go ahead and get started making this larger sized little bag. You're gonna need your so I've done all the cutting already, but I'm gonna give you the measurements and then we will score everything together. For your base, you need 2 pieces of 9.5 inches by 9 inches. I'm using 110-pound cardstock because we like a sturdy project, right? I'm gonna get my scoreboard here, and we're going to score these first 2 base pieces. On the 9-inch side, we're going to score at 1.5. And then we're going to turn it around to the other side, of still on the 9-inch side, and score at 1.5. So 1.5 inches on both sides of the 9-inch side. Then you're going to take it to the 9.5-inch side, and we're going to score at 4 inches on both sides. So 9.5-inch side, 4 inches, and then flip it around to the other side, still on the 9.5-inch side, and score at 4. So it should look like this. Your scores here on the 1.5 inch and then the 4 inch. Okay, you take your other piece of 9 inches by 9.5 inches and do the same exact scores. We're going to, on the 9 inch side, score at 1.5. Flip it to the other side and score at 1.5. Now turn it to your 9.5 inch side and score at 4. Turn it around and score at 4 again. Okay, now we're going to fold and varnish all of our score lines. I'm using my bone folder here. And I'll do the same to this one. Got a little piece of glue out of here. A little dried piece of glue on my scoreboard. Okay, now that those are all folded and varnished, we can do our cutting. What we're going to do is, so your 1.5 inch score marks, you're going to cut them up to this, or I'm sorry, not your 1.5 inch score marks, okay? If you turn your paper like this, you should see this little square in the middle, and we're going to make this a tab. So you're gonna cut out a little snip there on your score line, like that, and then do the same to this side. Flip it around and cut your other little square, make it into a little tab, just like that. You're going to do the same for both of your 9 by 9.5 inch pieces. Do the snippy snips. And one more side. I want to definitely give a shout out to Kristianne again and thank her for graciously allowing us, allowing me to do the tutorial, allowing Tamika to use it in her swap, and she even asked if she could join the swap, which I thought was really cool of her. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to hide this tab in between these two pieces. So I put my glue here on the outside of the tab, and I'm going to bring this up and put that right there. Excuse me. Okay, so now the tab is what should look like that. And I'm going to take this piece and fold it down. I'm going to add my glue here. And then I'm going to fold this up. Make sure my edges up here on the top are lined up the best I can get them. And then I'm going to use my bone folder to get in there and spread that glue around so it gets nice and stuck together. And then you can't see the tab. The tab is hidden between the two longer pieces, right? Add a little bit more glue there. And then it should look like this. We're going to do the same with this other side. I'm going to put some glue right here on the little tab. I'm going to close one side. Make sure that gets nice, press it together while it gets nice and stuck down. I've already got glue all over my hands. And then your tab's on the inside like that. And I'm just going to take this and fold it so that it covers that tab inside. So I'm going to put my glue right here. Oops, I dropped it. Put my glue right here. And then match this up at the top the best I can. So you should form a little box, a long skinny box like this. And use my bone folder to spread that glue around there and get it good and stuck down. So there's our first box, and now we're gonna do the same thing with this other piece of 9 by 9.5 inches. Add my glue to my tab, bring this up, and then to hide my tab, I'm going to add my glue there, and then fold this in to cover the tab. I hope that makes sense. We're just hiding the tab between the two long pieces. It doesn't really matter if you don't hide it, but I think it just looks nicer to hide the little tab between the two long pieces. So I'm going to fold my tab down, add my glue, fold one side over, wait for that glue to dry. Then I'm going to tuck, oops, I didn't wait long enough for the glue to dry, but I'm going to tuck this longer tab, this longer side in, add my glue, very messily, and then match up my sides, and there we have it. I'm taking my bone folder to get down in there and spread the glue around once again. Okay, so now you have two boxes that are identical like this, and we're going to glue them together. So I'm going to just add my glue right here, all along the edges, and then in the middle. I'm just gonna I'm using my wet glue because I don't trust myself to line these up using hot glue, so I'd rather just wait for the wet glue to dry so that I know that they line up evenly. Use both my hands to get in here and press those together. And there we have it. So it should look like this. Again, it's going to be 6 inches wide, 4 inches tall, and 3 inches deep. And then you have this little divider section in the middle. Next, we will do our lid. I already cut and did the scoring on this, but I will do it again with you. And I sewed because I wanted to have that stitching effect there on the lid. So your lid should be 6 1/4 inches wide by 7 inches long. And on the 7-inch side, you're going to score at 1/2 inch, 1 inches, 1 1/2, 2, 2 1/2, 3, 3 1/2, 4, 4 1/2, 5, and finally 5 1/2. So you're going to score every 1/2 inch from 1/2 inch to 5 1/2 inches. And then that will leave you with 1.5 inches for your flap. This is the flap, the front of your flap. Now I rounded my corners here. You don't have to. I just like that, the way that looks. We are going to fold all of these score lines because, like you can see here, you want it to fold over your little boxes. So go ahead and fold, and I'm just creasing with my hands. I'm not using my bone folder because I don't want it to you don't need to, you know, just the folding with your hands works just fine to make it rounded. Now for my lid, I did choose to use, this is 80-pound textured cardstock from Basil. I just chose this as my lid so that it was more decorative than using just a plain white cardstock. You can see here on this bag, I just used a piece of pattern paper from this collection, and so yeah, the lid doesn't have to be 110 pounds, especially if you want it to be decorative. So that's, but like I said, for that one I pattern paper. This one I just did a solid color cardstock. Next, we're gonna do our front pocket, and for our front pocket, we need a piece of this is 110-pound cardstock again, 6.5 inches by 4 inches. And what we're going to do is score on the 6.5-inch side at 1/2 inch and at 1 inch. Turn it to the 4-inch side. You're going to score at 1/2 inch and 1 inch. And then turn it again to the right, back on the 6.5-inch side, and score again at 1/2 inch and 1 inch. So you're scoring at 1/2 inch and 1 inch on 3 sides to make your pocket. Right? Okay, let's fold and varnish our score lines. And then we're do our cutting. We're going to cut out the 4 corners here. You see those? So what I do is I do a slight angled cut there on the bottom, and then I do a slight angled cut here on the side, just like that. And then on this side we'll do the same thing, slight angled cut on the bottom, turn it and do a slight angled cut on the side. And there we have our pocket. So what you'll do is bend your first fold back like this, and then your next fold is going to come back on top of the first fold. And do that to all 3 sides. Fold it over and then fold this one back on top of the first one. Fold it back and then back on top of the first fold. And there is our front pocket. Now I'm going to set that aside, and for the lid of your pocket, you need a piece of 4.5 inches by 2 inches. You can see here that I rounded the corners of one side. So yeah, and then you're going to put it on your scoreboard, and on the 2-inch side you're going to score at 1/2 inch. Now this part is important. We're going to fold and varnish, but then we're going to miter these corners so that it fits into your pocket. So what you want to do is start right here and cut the corner off like this. Turn it around and do the same thing. This way it's going to fit. It will fit inside your pocket. I hope that makes sense. Okay, so set that aside, and then we will do our side pockets. You need 2 pieces for your side pockets because you have two pockets. They're going to be 4.5 inches by 4.5 inches. And we're going to score at 1/2 inch and 1 inch on 3 sides. So just line it up there, like they're 4.5 by 4.5. You're gonna score at 1/2 inch, 1 inch. Turn it to the right, score at 1/2 inch and 1 inch. Turn it to the right again, score at 1/2 inch and 1 inch. Go ahead and do that to both pieces. Half an inch and 1 inch, 1/2 inch and 1 inch. All 3 sides, or 3 of the 4 sides. And then we're going to cut out the 4 corners again, just like we did on the large front pocket. So do a slightly angled cut there at the bottom, and then do a slightly angled cut on the side. And it should look something like that. Slightly angled cut on the bottom, turn it, slightly angled cut on the side, and there you have it. Do the same thing to this pocket. And there we have it. Now we're going to fold and crease our scores. In both pockets. And after you do that, then you can fold them how we did the first pocket. You fold the first little edge in, and then you fold the second one on top of the first one, like this. So it's like a little accordion fold, one little accordion fold. Do the same for all 3 sides. Okay, and then this one, fold that back on top of the first one, fold that into the pocket, and then facing outside the pocket. Hope that makes sense. And there we have it. And those are our side pockets. I'm going to set that to the side, and we're going to do our last construction piece before we start matting our project. I have the measurements for the mats as well, so you don't have to figure those out. Now, you're going to, for the handle, like you see here, you're going to need a straw. This is just a standard 7 3/4 inch straw. And then we're going to construct this little box that hides the ends of the straw. But for your straw, what you're going to do is score at 2.5 inches right there. You're going to fold that down and you're going to turn it around and again score at 2.5 inches. Fold that down and you should have something like this. Okay. Now for the little box that is going to hide the straw, you need a piece of 5 inches by 4.5 inches. And all we're going to do is score at a 1/2 inch and 1 inch on all 4 sides. So 1/2 inch, 1 inch, turn it to the right, 1/2 inch, 1 inch, turn it to the right, and so on and so forth. So you've got all 4 sides scored. Again, I'm using this pink 80-pound textured cardstock from Basil for my straw cover. You can use the 110 if that's what you want to do, but I just thought I would make mine a little more decorative by using this pink cardstock. You could always do the 110-pound cardstock and then mat with pattern paper like I did on this one. But for this one, I thought, let's just do the pink. Now I'm folding and varnishing all of my score lines. And what we're going to do is cut out the corners once again. So we're going to do a slightly angled cut there and a slightly angled cut there. Angle, 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 angle. Now it should look like this. And we're going to, what we're going to do is like fold it in on itself like this. We're only going to do 3 sides for now. We're going to leave the top side open. But go ahead and add your glue here on one side. Now wait for that to dry. And then come over here to this side. And put that together. So it starts to form a box, right? I'm purposely leaving this side unglued for now. So just do the one side. Oh, I didn't wait long enough for the glue to dry. Give it a second. And then what we're going to do is take our straw and we're going to mark where we need to punch these holes. I'm going to take a pen, I guess, because I can't find my pencil. And I'm going to put my straw right here. Let's see. We want a hole here. And we want a hole about here. I'm going to take my, you can use just a regular hole punch. I'm using my crocodile here. And I'm going to punch my holes for my straws to fit through. Doesn't have to be perfect. Mine's not, for sure. And then we want to put our straw through. Well, I need a bigger hole, so I'm going to punch another hole right beside it. Should have used a regular hole punch. Especially because it's not even cutting the paper all the way. And then I can fit my straws through. I'm taking a page right out of Kristianne's book, and to keep those straws from coming out, because I don't want it to just fall out or anything, I'm going to take these little flat back pieces that I have that someone sent me. You can pick these kind of things up at Hobby Lobby or pretty much anywhere. I'm going to use my hot glue for this. Maybe. Yep, there it is. And I'm going to add it off camera because my hot glue gun doesn't reach that far. Oh no, I dropped it. Okay. I'm going to add my hot glue to the back of my little gem. And trying not to burn myself, I'm going to put it on the bottom of the straw. Just like that. That's why we haven't closed it yet, because we're adding these little stoppers to the bottom of the straw. So once again, I'm adding my hot glue to the bottom of the little flat back piece. Try not to burn myself. Not doing so well. And then add that to the bottom of the other side of the straw. Maybe. Back to my finger. There we go. And then this way, when we can position it and it's not going to come out of the little box. Right? So then we can finish closing this box. Add our little glue here. I'm just going to hold that until, no, I'm going to use hot glue so it'll go faster for us. So there's one side. And here's the other side. So now these flat sides of the back of this box is what we will glue to our project, like this. But we're gonna mat everything, and then add our pockets, and we'll add this piece as well. Sorry, had to take a drink real quick. So let's go ahead and start matting our box, because you want to add your mats before you add the pockets. So for the front and back of our main piece, you need 2 mats that are 5 7/8 by 3 7/8. I'm using the Sunny Days collection by Maggie Holmes. And you can see I took the liberty of sewing my mats. That's optional, of course. I just like the way it looks, especially on a little luggage bag. I'm adding my glue. And again, my mats for the front and back are 5 7/8 by 3 7/8. I'm going to add that. And then add my back piece. Now our side mats should be 2 7/8 by 3 7/8. Not glued down very well. There we go. So again, the side mats, you need 2 of them are 2 7/8 by 3 7/8. Just adding my glue to the edges and then in the middle. And that will cover the side. And then from the outside, it looks like it's just one big box, right? When you add the mats like that. Adding my second side mat. Oh, this side isn't gluing down. I'm not being very precise with my glue today. I have a little bit of thread sticking up there. There we go. Okay, that's done. Let's mat our pockets. So for your two small side pockets, your mats are going to be 2 3/8 by 3 3/8. You need 2 of those, 2 3/8 by 3 3/8. I think it's easier to add your mats before you add your pockets to your project, so that's how I'm doing it. Use your bone folder to really spread that glue around and make sure it's stuck down well. And then our front pocket, your mat should be 4 3/8 by 2 7/8. Adding my glue around the edges and then in the middle. My bone folder to stick it down. And then the front pocket, the lid of the front pocket, I did a little mat just for the flap, and this is 4 3/8 by 1 3/8. Again, I did this one in just that pink basil cardstock as well. To match my lid of my project. Okay, now we have all of our mats. Oh, except the bottom. I forgot to do the bottom. So the bottom, if you want to mat the bottom, you don't have to, but I'm extra like that. It's 5 7/8 by 2 7/8. Adding my glue. And I'm going to stick that down. Get that stuck down well. The glue spread around with my bone folder. And there we have it. Okay, so now we can add our lid. I'm going to move the scoreboard because we don't need that anymore. And now your lid is going to be just slightly bigger than the box. And that's the way it's designed. So you're going to center it. You want to pick what's your front and what's your back. Let's see. It doesn't really matter, does it? I'm just being picky. So this is going to be my front, so this will be my back. And what you want to do is center it on here, so there's about 1/8 of an inch hanging off of both sides. And it should be a little bit bigger just so it covers everything and isn't yeah, it's good to have it just a little bit bigger than the actual box. So I'm going to add my glue to that first 1/2 inch score. If you can see that, focus camera, just to the first 1/2 inch score. And then I'm going to center it on here with about 1/8 of an inch hanging off of both sides. And wait for your glue to dry. I'm putting my hand here on the inside to help stick that down well while the glue dries. And there we have it. See it's hanging off this edge and this edge just about 1/8 of an inch. And there we have it. There's our lid. Now let's add our front pocket. I'm going to take another drink because I've been talking for a minute now. And let's add our front pocket. So you want your folds to be like this, and I always add the bottom of the pocket first. I'm going to put my glue on there. I'm going to center it here in the middle at the bottom. I'm putting my hand inside the box so that it has some leverage to dry against. Like that. And then I will add my glue to these little tabs. And again, I'm going to put my hand on the inside here so that it has some leverage to press against and let that glue dry. There's another little string hanging off here. I'm going to cut that. That'll bug the crap out of me. Okay, there's our front pocket, and now we can add your front pocket lid. This is and this is where it's important that you miter the corners so that it will fit down inside of the pocket, like this. So it's going to go down there inside the pocket. I'm going to add my glue to the tab. I'm going to add some more glue to this side because apparently it's not done drying yet. And now I'm adding the lid of the pocket right here on top of the pocket. The lid and the pocket are the same size width. That's why we mitered the corners of the inside. And so then it should open up like this, and you have your little pocket there. Now we can add our side pockets, and then we will add our closure for these front pockets. So again, I find it useful to do the bottom of the pocket first. So I fold this up like so and add my glue. I'm going to position this here at the bottom of the bag. Wait for that glue to dry. Then I'm going to fold in these sides like this. So they're like this, and you fold them in like this. Add your glue. And position it there on your bag. And then hold it down. I'm going to put my fingers here inside again to give it leverage while I press down from the outside and let that glue dry. Get another little thread hanging off. Cut that off. There's one side pocket. You can see. Nope. It wasn't ready for me to pull on it like that. There we go. Now we will add the other side pocket. Again, I'm going to start with the bottom. Add my glue. This is I don't trust myself using the hot glue either, because you just don't have any, with hot glue you don't have any time to fix your mistakes. If you put it down crooked, once it's stuck, right? So I just like to wait for the wet glue to dry. Now I'm going to, the sides are like this, you fold them in on top of each other, add your glue, and then position this on the side of the back. Putting my fingers inside to give it the leverage, and then pressing down from the outside. Like so. Okay, now we can add our closures. I'm going to add one to this pocket and to this lid. I am going to use Velcro dots. Kristianne, in her video, she uses magnets. I have magnets, but I'm just going to stick with the Velcro dots today. You do you. I know, however, with Velcro dots, I don't trust the adhesive that come on them by themselves, so I always add a little dot of wet glue, because adding it with just the adhesive that it comes with, they never seem to work, at least for me. So I like to add the extra wet glue, and then I do not try to open the Velcro until that glue has completely dried. So I'll wait at least 5 minutes before I try to take the Velcro apart. So there's that one. And then for the lid, I'm going to put one part of the Velcro just here on the top of the lid of the pocket, if that makes sense. I'm going to take one. I'm going to add a little bit of wet glue. There's a hair stuck in this one. There, I got it. And then with my wet glue added, I'm going to put it right there in the middle. Add wet glue to this side. And then I'm going to put it down right here on the top pocket, or on the I'm sorry, on the lid of my front pocket. Make sure it's even and press it down like so. Look, another thread. I didn't take the time to cut all the little extra thread off. So there's that. And wait for that to dry, and then we can put on our little straw cover here on the back. I am going to use hot glue for this because the wet glue will take forever to dry. So bear with me while I put this on off screen. And I'm just going to take my time to line it up to get it on there nice and center. Like so. Just like that. Now, I did add some enamel dots to the front of this one on the front pocket and one on the lid. So I think I'll do that now. I think I'm going to use blue. Yes, I'm going to use blue. Add the larger one there and then the medium sized one here on my little pocket. And that way it looks like a little button closure, right? Super cute. Now you can definitely embellish this more if you want, but this is the basic construction that you will use for Tamika's swap. And I'll show you this. I'll definitely erase this right here. But there we have it. There is our 6 by 4 by 3 inch little luggage caddy. In Kristianne's video, she has the option to put little feet on the bottom. I didn't put any feet on mine, but you're more than welcome to do that. And then there we have it. It's a cute little luggage bag, right? Super cute. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you again to Kristianne for letting us resize your gorgeous little project. And we really appreciate you allowing us to do that. I will have, when Tamika posts the information for the swap, I will link it in the description box down below. She's going to be the host. I just did the tutorial. I was just helping her out. So if you have any questions about the tutorial, feel free to leave them in the comments down below and I will get back to you. And like I said, when she posts the information for the swap, I will link it in the description box of this video. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great day. Bye.